ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਰਹੇ ਹੋ ਸਾਂਝਾ ਟੀਵੀ ਮੈਂ ਹਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਰਸ਼ਦੀਪ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਸੈਗਮੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਸਭ ਦਾ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਹੈ ਕਿ 5 ਮਹੀਨੇ ਰਹਿ ਗਏ ਨੇ ਪ੍ਰੋਵਿੰਸ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੋਟਾਂ ਦੇ ਲਈ ਤੇ ਹੁਣ ਉਸ ਤੋਂ ਪਹਿਲਾਂ ਲੈਜਿਸਲੇਟਿਵ ਸੈਸ਼ਨ ਖਤਮ ਹੋ ਚੁੱਕਿਆ ਤੇ ਅੱਜ ਸਪੈਸ਼ਲ ਗੈਸਟ ਇਜ਼ ਇਨ ਦਿਸ ਸਟੂਡੀਓ ਵੀ ਹੈਵ Premier David E.B. in this studio. So let's welcome and talk about the issues and many more. Premier, welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. It's good to be here.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Over the weekend, you lost the bet to Alberta's Premier over the results of Oilers and Canucks. How was that?
Yeah, it's pretty sad. I mean, I think first of all that the Canucks lost. So many people were cheering for them in the province and really hoping they were going to beat those Oilers. But especially me because now I have to wear an Oilers jersey and deliver a speech that's been written by the Premier of Alberta for me. So I was especially sad.
Oh, wait for that.
Yeah.
So legislative session, I know it was a busy session and there was many bills passed, many things happened. First, people are concerned about housing because housing is the main issue. Government is buying land, red tape, more rights to the tenants, and many more issues were discussed in that session. So for the housing, government is buying land. So how will that work?
Yeah, so a couple pieces. We're using the public land we already have to build housing that's actually affordable for people. So we're partnering with private developers to build that housing for rent and soon for purchase that we think will be about 30% cheaper for people than if it was done because the cost of land is so expensive. We're also, when we're building a new SkyTrain like Surrey Langley SkyTrain or a Rapid Bus, we're buying the land around the stations. So again, we can partner to build housing that people can afford close to transit. But we also announced an innovative program where people who own a home and they're interested in adding a suite to it to rent out, that will provide money to them to convert a basement into a suite so they can become a landlord, but they have to commit to renting it out at a lower rate for people. So a bunch of innovative programs, all of it aimed at the same thing, trying to get more people access to more affordable housing. We're doing everything we can to bring that housing on because we know that's the big issue that so many people face in the province right now.
Premier, still government is buying land, still they're working and catching up the things, but still people are here right now who need housing. What are the options for them?
Well, we did take some actions to free up some housing to make it more available for people. One of the key ones was around Airbnb and VRBO. Unfortunately in the province, and we all like Airbnb, I've stayed in Airbnbs on family vacation, it's great, but we had people buying up condos, buying up whole homes and converting them into hotel rooms, which meant that families trying to find a place to buy were competing with investors. And we need to use every bit of housing we have for people looking for a place to live right now. So we said, Airbnb only in your home where is your primary residence. Don't buy up a whole home or a condo. We changed those rules. And we've already seen people moving into long-term rentals or finding places to buy that used to be short-term rentals, Airbnb. But we know that the big solution here is to build more housing. We have 10,000 people every 37 days moving to British Columbia. So we have to build more housing as well as schools and hospitals and all that infrastructure to support a fast-growing province.
Talking about the cost of living, talking about inflation, when we talk about interest rates, everything is so high and it will be discussed in next elections as well. Do you think these issues will be a big barrier to the election campaign as well?
Absolutely, this will be a huge discussion during the election campaign. I think that there are so many things that are happening outside of British Columbia's borders that are affecting us. Central bank interest rates being high when people go to renew their mortgages or with their debt. The rising cost of food, which is something we're seeing internationally, impacting people here in British Columbia. And so for our government, it's where can we help people with the costs of daily life? So we made an announcement about ICBC. ICBC, we fixed it, so it stopped losing money. It made $1.4 billion last year. We took $400 million and said this should go back to drivers, to people who have policies, both businesses and individuals, $110 refund, and the rest of the money into ICBC's bank accounts so that future rates can stay low. And we've frozen rates for 2 more years. That'll be 6 years of 0% rate increases. So it's things like that. How can we support people with the costs that they're facing and make life a little bit easier for them? And amazingly, when we did that, John Rustad, came out and he was opposed to that. He was opposed to the rebate, and he wants to take ICBC back to the old model where it was losing billions of dollars and there were huge rate increases. So I think as we get to the election, we'll be able to have discussions about those issues and try to understand why John Rustad would stand with those the wealthy personal injury lawyers instead of standing with drivers that just need affordable car insurance in our province. And this will be the debate that we'll have in October.
I was about to talk about John Rustad because their party is coming towards the polls when we see. Still, you guys have a double-digit increase, we can say. Polls are suggesting that you might will be make a government in next election, but the John Rustad, the Conservatives, are coming really, really near to you guys. Like, how you feel when Conservatives are in BC and people are liking them?
Yes, well, I think, as people get closer to the election, they're going to look at all the parties and how they're addressing the issues that matter to them. It is confusing for people because John Rustad and Kevin Falcon sat around the same cabinet table. They're from the same party. We saw some very wealthy people in downtown Vancouver try to get them back together to make sure they were looking after the rich people in the province again. But the bottom line is that whether it's the Conservatives and the BCUP or whatever, John Rustad, Kevin Falcon, I don't know who's going to lead the party, but ultimately it'll be about who do British Columbians trust to deliver strong public services like healthcare and education, housing affordability, and how do we move forward to address these big challenges we face in our province. And I think their record is clear. They were both in government. They had the MSP. They increased that special tax every year. Kevin Falcon's signature program was the HST. They both brought us the carbon tax. And so, all of those pieces, that's their record, and they'll do it again if they get back into power.
Once you were saying that we see improvements in healthcare as well. Healthcare is a big issue as well because we have a hospital being built, but it's not actually with us right now because it will take some time. And now healthcare workers were like less in the province, and still people are not getting family doctors. So what do you think about the healthcare system in British Columbia?
Well, a couple of things. When I was sworn in, one of the key pieces I wanted to address was how south of the Fraser, that the investment in the capital in the hospitals, in the schools, just hadn't been made, and to make sure that those investments were happening. So we've got the new hospital under construction right now in Cloverdale. We've committed to, and it's in the business plan, the new tower at Surrey Memorial Hospital. And you're right, people need health care now. So that's why we've added an additional 70 doctors at Surrey Memorial Hospital and a couple hundred additional healthcare workers. And for the future, a new medical school, and it's going to be in Surrey, at SFU Surrey, where we're training community-focused health workers, doctors, nurses, and others that want to work at the community level. And this is going to be so important for the future. But it doesn't matter if it's rapid transit, Surrey Langley SkyTrain, hospitals, Surrey Memorial, the new hospital, schools, where the previous government, Kevin Falcon and John Rustad, they only did one expansion in the last 4 years of government. The neglect in Surrey was not a coincidence. They were doing all that building in Vancouver. And if they get reelected, then they're going to neglect Surrey again. And we need a government that supports this fast-growing area south of Fraser. And it's not just Surrey, it's all the way up the valley. It was neglected for so long, the improvements we're doing on Highway 1. So this will be, again, a big part of the discussion in the election is how do we provide that high-quality health care? I believe it's by training doctors and nurses and building those new hospitals and health centers, especially in underserved areas like south of the Fraser.
If we need any successful province, any successful nation, we need healthcare, we need schools, we need better policing, we need everything that people can be safe into the community. But right now, if we'll talk about schools, still there are portables in the schools, and parents and students are concerned about it. So portables, what do you think? They're not decreasing, they're increasing year by year.
So what we're seeing is in these 10,000 people every 37 days that are arriving in the province, they're locating largely in Surrey and Fraser Valley. And that massive population growth that's happening so quickly is really straining services, healthcare, education. You can see the portables in the schools. So the commitment from our government is $4.2 billion in a capital budget to build new schools, 13,600 additional spaces just in Surrey alone. That's 9 new schools. There's I think we're somewhere like 12 or 13 expansions of schools, and we're just keeping up. And so we're having to build more and more schools and also make sure that the teachers and the education workers are looked after so that we're able to hire and recruit the people that we need. And it is, again, this is going to be a different approach because when Kevin Falcon and John Rustad were in government, they sold all those properties that were going to be used for schools. And John Rustad made his announcement about what he's going to do for education. He's going to put more kids into a single class with one teacher. That's his answer. And so I do think there'll be clear choices about this. But it's such a fast-growing community. It needs so much in terms of additional schools and space, and that's a huge priority for us. That's why we're spending that money to build those schools, and you can see the construction in Surrey, because we have to close the portables and we have to get people into the schools that they need.
As we discussed, parents are concerned about students, and another thing is SOGI.
Oh yeah.
So SOGI rallies, protests. Some people are supporters, some are critics. They have their own thoughts, but still there are some parents. They say this needs to be little slow down. Again, we have pastors who were doing anti-SOGI rallies as well. So what people are against the education minister. So many things happened over the years when SOGI came and protests are going on. So what you think, what parents should do or what the teachers should do to educate parents about the SOGI more?
Well, this is a challenging thing because this is a program that's been in place for 20 years in our school. It was in place under John Rustad. It was in place under Kevin Falcon. It's in place under our government. And there was an effort to target our education minister with a recall campaign, and it failed miserably. And the reason it failed is because she has support, and people understand that we support kids in school to be successful in school. And there are people who think there's a political advantage to be gained by scaring parents. Here's what's happening in the schools. Totally false, the things that they're saying. And so I encourage parents, I have a couple of kids in school myself. I understand the anxieties. Your kid goes to school and then comes home and you're like, what happened in school today? Oh, I don't know, nothing. Well, you don't know what's happening in school. So call the teacher. Go talk to the teacher. Say to the teacher, what are you teaching in the school? I'm concerned about this. I've heard that this is something or a book that's being taught in the school. Is that true? And the teacher will talk you through about what's actually being taught in the classroom, the conversations that are happening in the classroom to support the kids. And I really am unhappy that people are targeting schools in particular for protests. We had to pass a special law to prevent some really mixed up people from banging on the windows of schools, from yelling at teachers and kids as they go into school. It means our schools aren't safe for kids. And it distracts us from what the real threat to kids are, which are a lot of the apps and the cell phone tools that they have that people from around the world can contact them. We're taking on the social media companies to deal with that, but let's focus on the real threats to kids.
So people can talk to teacher. That's the main thing.
It is the best way if you are anxious about what's being taught in school. Go talk to the teacher, find out what's being taught, ask serious questions, ask the hard questions, and I have confidence that our teachers can share the information so parents can feel better. Or if it doesn't make parents feel better, they can raise concerns about what's happening.
Everybody wants to feel safe at school, at home, in the society, everywhere they go, at night, in the morning. They want to be safe. But in Surrey particular, police transition is a political issue now. Now, we can say transition starts from November the 29th, and then now the case is in Supreme Court. So a mayor is going to the court for the transition. So what do you think, like people's taxes, everything is involved in this transition. No matter what the police officer is wearing, what dress, what car they have, but people want to be safe in the community. And still this issue, city policing and RCMP, is with us from many years. So what will be the result of this transition, or what's going to happen in next years?
Well, it's very clear what's going to happen is we're going to finish the transition to the Surrey Police Service. We passed a special law to make sure that's the case. The mayor is not going to win her lawsuit. And even if somehow she were successful in it, the law would ensure that we're able to continue with the transition. And so at this point, we need to end the waste of taxpayers' money on lawyers, on communications people, on everything else, and sit down and work it out. We offered money to the city. We said we're going to cover the cost of transition. And the mayor said, well, it's not enough. The costs are going to be higher than you say. Okay, we'll say, okay, well, if they are higher, we don't think so, but if they are higher, we'll give you a guarantee. We'll cover those costs too. And the mayor said, no, I won't accept that deal. And then went ahead to court. And the bottom line is, as you say, when people call 911, they just need a response. And it's not about the uniform. We need to make sure that there's a good, high-quality response. And Surrey has so many challenges we need to be working with the local government on. So I hope that when the court thing is done, the mayor can recognize that we are moving to transition, that this is going to happen, and we can sit down and work on the important issues of Surrey. We don't have to be best friends, but we can sit down at a table and work out the big challenges facing Surrey and understand that each of our governments has a role to play to address those issues.
People are looking for the federal government, people are looking to the provincial government, people are looking to the municipalities. So at the end, people want safety, people want everything they want, everything they want to lead a good life. That's what people need. So right now, if we'll talk about many issues, cost of living, housing, we talk about everything, but food banks are increasing. People are, we can say people are going to food bank every day, and they don't have, sometimes they don't have jobs, sometimes they can't go to work, and people are not hiring them. So what do you think of when we see people are depending on food banks?
Well, there's a couple pieces to this. One is we need to absolutely make sure when people are working that they're earning enough money to be able to cover their costs that they have. And that includes groceries and rents and other things to have a decent life. So we put a breakfast program in at all the schools to make sure that kids aren't going to school hungry. We are supporting food banks. But we're addressing the reason why someone might use a food bank. We had the lowest minimum wage in Canada when we formed government, under Kevin Falcon and John Rustad. And now we have one of the highest minimum wages. And we were told that if we did that, it would cause people to lose their jobs, it would hurt the economy. Well, we have the fastest growing economy in all of Canada post-pandemic. We added more jobs than any other province last month. We have the lowest unemployment rate in all of Canada. And so that's good news. But people still need to be supported. We have a lot of people that do gig work, rideshare, food delivery. They might lose their job unexpectedly. They don't know what their tips are. They don't have access to WorkSafe BC. So we had to pass a law to make sure we were addressing those issues so people who are working don't have to use a food bank. And then for those who can't work, we increase support. So for seniors, the SAFER program to help them with their cost of rent. For people with disabilities, increasing disability support. The cost of food is rising internationally, and all governments are working on this important issue. But for us, supporting farmers has also been critically important. And so we're also supporting farmers with replanting crops that are affected by climate change. All those other pieces, it's all interconnected. And our government is working on every aspect of this challenge for people.
I can see we are up against the clock, but you share many things what the government is doing for the people of British Columbia. So any message at the end we want to share with the viewers?
Well, you know, it seems strange for people that are just living their lives, but we are getting close to the election in October. Over the summer, many of the parties will be coming out to talk to you, including my party, the NDP. And just make sure that you're asking the questions that you need the answers to, because I think that there's only one party out there that is, there's only one group of people that are really supporting British Columbians with the proposals that are going forward. And John Rustad and Kevin Falcon want to cut key programs that people rely on. And we're going to be having that debate. So I hope people participate. I hope they get a chance to ask the questions that they want this summer. And they're prepared in the fall to vote in a new government. Thank
you for talking to us, and good wishes for the election and new addition to family as well.
Thanks. Yeah, end of June, new baby for the EB family. We're really excited. So yeah, that's coming too. That's a really big event for us.
Yeah, good luck, and thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So Premier David Eves was here. So ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਇਸ਼ੂਜ਼ ਦੇ ਬਾਰੇ ਗੱਲ ਕੀਤੀ ਕਿ ਵੀ ਕੁਝ ਕਰ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ ਐਨਡੀਪੀ ਵਾਲੇ ਤੇ ਅੱਗੇ ਕੀ ਕਰਨਗੇ। ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਕੈਂਪੇਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਉਹ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਆ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੋ ਜਾਣੀ ਆ ਅਕਤੂਬਰ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ ਹੈਗੀਆਂ ਨੇ। ਸੋ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਦੇਖ ਕੇ ਵੋਟ ਪਾਉਣੀ ਆ, ਬਟ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਇਨਫੋਰਮੇਸ਼ਨ ਤੇ ਅਪਡੇਟ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਰਵਾਂਗੇ। ਦੇਖਦੇ ਰਹੋ ਸਾਂਝਾ ਟੀਵੀ।